Hello and welcome to part 2 of Tales of an Undrunk Pirate, subtitled Wrong. So here I was, mid-20s, and had 2 kids. I'll rewind a little bit because part of this is imperative. Something that I only discovered this past year on this quest for self-discovery of who am I without the drink. But I think it's important. But one of the first, if you would, loves of my life that made my heart beat was a little girl in elementary school. Her name was Donna, and we used to go outside and play catch together. And I had feelings before I even knew what feelings were. And she was one of my first kisses, because we'd kiss each other on the cheek. And then her and her brother moved away. And that was the first time I could feel what I later discovered was heartbreak. I say that because then we fast forward to my sophomore summer. Again, I have contacts, I'm feeling more self-confident, and met another girl. Fell head over heels over her. Things went fast and furious with us too. But we were teenagers. I was 16, she was 14. I had to lie about my age because her dating a guy 2 years older than her, unheard of. And I was driving, so I had to hide my car and ride my bike to her house. We were toxic for each other. Lots of fiery passion, but that comes with it lots of jealousy. And we were just toxic toward each other. We'd yell, we'd cuss, throw fists. We didn't know how to hold or process emotions. We just, everything was angsty teenagers. And then she moved away. There was my second heartbreak. She was going to move away. And then I decided to buy an engagement ring at 16 and ask her to marry me. I did get to go visit her. In fact, missing her was why I had to repeat the 11th grade, because I wound up saving up enough money to buy a bus ticket. She moved to North Carolina, and I was going to go visit her. My dad threw a fit, wouldn't even let me go to work. I was pissed that he was going to interfere with my job, so I ran away. Got that bus ticket and headed out to North Carolina for a week. I got there the day after that hurricane tore up Charlotte. I think it was Andrew, I'm not sure. This was around 90. But because I had missed so much school being a week up there, I had to repeat the 11th grade. So to finish off 11th grade, I just got on the work program. Go to school a few hours just to get my required credits and then work the other half. So at lunchtime, I'd go to work at my theater. And we stayed in communication for a while. I got really into computers at that time. Became a little bit of a freaker. And what that is I was hacking programs, altering their code. Those old schoolers might remember hexadecimal editors, I think is what they were called. Hex editors. Get in the program, alter the program. Put my cyber name on things. And alter other things so, cheat. Find out where the codes were for life, money, whatever, and play the games and win. That got me into phreaking, which is setting up at that time we had modems to dial into the internet. So we would set them up to war dial telephone companies and run series of digits, 16 digit, I think at that time there were only 12 digits, card numbers. And you set it up before school, come back, and it would call, hit a number, and then hit another phone number, so that if that card number was correct, it successfully dialed that number. So by the time I get home, I had a handful of calling card numbers that just would dial a number and then hang up once I got a ringtone. So within a week, I had dozens of calling card numbers, and I would use those to call her, because those were back in the day where it was not 10-cent friends and family. Long distance was expensive. But I got caught. They called me and were going to turn me in, but my parents paid the bill that I had racked up, that they had been tracking. But one of those phone calls was that she found a guy. And it devastated me. I got very upset that we were supposed to be together, but she had found someone else. I say that because I've only discovered that that was a pivotal point of one of the layers I put on. Why do people put layers on me? Not because by force or anything, but because I allowed it to happen. I thought I needed to be this way because of something. Maybe I'm not good enough. Was I good enough for love? Was I good enough for school? Was I good enough for my parents? Was I too much? Is ADHD? It's a problem. Here to tell you all now, you are enough. You are perfectly enough. My prayer is that hopefully you realize, like I just did not too long ago, that society puts these things on us. Let's just say they leave those layers out there, and you just put that super glue on and put another layer on and put another layer on, covering up who the real you is. Oh, and then alcohol comes along. Man, it just makes us add this stuff a lot more, doesn't it? It did for me. So we fast forward now to my first wife. And again, that relationship became toxic. We were both the same way. Well, we didn't throw fists. We did throw cuss words, hate, just about anything in the house. Cut up their other shit, and we did it to each other. We were bad for each other, but I guess sometimes that's what happens when you jump into love so quickly. 6 weeks, marriage. But eventually, like I said, we had 2 kids. And that was the one good thing that came out of it, because I loved them with all my heart. Now, during that time, like I told you, I stopped drinking alcohol. But it did start up again, because she liked to go clubbing too. And when you have a kid, at least the first one, you start to get a little stir crazy. So we'd start going out to clubs. And then the drinking started up again. Not heavily at all, just, 1 or 2. But it comes back into life. Now, during this time, I was making a lot of money in real estate. Being just over 21 years old, I was making a lot of money. That's why I could get the 3rd house. But then, right before the 2nd one was born, I got really into computers. And that's when Windows 95 came out. And the internet. Things like AOL, Prodigy, CompuServe got really big. People to connect to the internet. I dialed up directly. Old schoolers remember the trumpet windsock. TCP/IP. And I decided to put my time and effort into doing that, along with my real estate career. Let me know more about this, and I can train people how to better use the computers. Use these Word documents. At that time, I think it was not publisher. Different Word ones, email programs, spreadsheets, internet, websites. Let's get into those. I started designing websites straight from scratch. Now everything's like a Word document. You just hit bold or blue or whatever you want. Now you had to type in all the code for that. There was no point and click until front page came out. So anyways, I tried to put all my eggs in that basket instead of divvying them up, and try to sell websites, which I did. I was successful a little bit. Realtors need to post their homes online. Strip clubs need to have a website. Hey, what do you know? There's whorehouses out in Nevada. Let's get them. And I made some pretty good money on that. The problem, though, was the real estate money wasn't coming in anymore, and that was my cash cow. The computer stuff was little bits here and there, and I was putting all my effort into that. So money became scarce, and all the money we did have went straight to the kids. Make sure we had formula and diapers. I remember refrigerator at one point. I was just trying to make our payments. I'm in real estate. She was in fast food. But once my money dried up, there goes the household income at the time. And I remember looking in the fridge, and I had the big tub of mayonnaise, giant tub, had a giant tub of pickle slices, because she loved pickles. And the big box of the government cheese, because we got on WIC, because we were poor and we had kids. So many times for lunch or dinner, I had a cheese, mayonnaise, and pickle sandwich. I actually liked it. It was good. I enjoyed it. I told you it came from when I was poor that we didn't have meat, so I got very creative with stuff. Then lo and behold, I could get that frozen box of those mini chicken fried finger steaks, the little ones. Man, that was a treat. Put that in your sandwich. Or the mac and cheese, those cheap. At the time, I think you get like 3 or 4 boxes for $1. And dice up your fried chicken steak finger and the mac and cheese. Delicious. But just always making sure the kids had their formula and the diapers and the wipes. God, they went through so many of those. So it was poor. And yeah, if we could go out to a club, we'd get there early because it was free if you got in before 7, 8, 9. We'd just hang out. And at that time, drinks were usually cheap. 50 cents maybe, $1. Little plastic cup, right? The crap. But have a few drinks before everyone else gets there. That was our life. Again, the arguments just increased. And I still remember to this day, I hear her talking up a storm in the bedroom. And I walk in and the conversations change to yes, no, mm-hmm, mm-mm, no. No more conversations, just one word replies. Turns out she was talking to her ex-boyfriend. It upset me, so I gave an ultimatum. I'm like, either him or me. Well, she chose him and left. I remember nights laying on the kitchen floor in the fetal position, crying and asking God, why? Why me? Again? But then decided to roll with the dices. And I like clubbing, let's go out club. Called up an old high school friend and we became club buddies. I'm not afraid to admit it, I was a whore during that time. Picking up them hoochie mamas. Sowing my newfound wild oats. Missed the hell out of my kids. But we had somewhat agreed, joint custody. And I loved seeing them. And during that time, I met another girl. Now, at this time, I was about 27. She was only 20 at the time. So I liked the club. So we'd take in and I'd sneak her drinks while we go out. I eventually asked her to marry me, and she became my second wife. Now, the first marriage ended 4 days before our 4th anniversary. This one would go about 17 years. But something else happened that I didn't realize then that completely changed me to add on another layer that alcohol just compounded. And it wasn't until literally this past year that I unraveled all of that. This alcohol-free journey, to me, this time around, because I had tried numerous times in the past, 5-6 years before this to quit, to cut back. None of that worked. Because within 3 days, I was back doing the same thing again, having one more drink. And it never just jumped right back into what it was, but it vamped up quickly. After those 3 days of being sober, clean, what have you, one drink. Next night, maybe two. And then within a week, I was back to where I was. But this time around, things became different. Almost 10 months ago, things completely changed, and I'll get into that. But during this new marriage, this new girl, Phil, once again, I fall head over heels. When I fall in love, I fall in love. And it was wonderful. And then somewhere just after 1 year of marriage with her, discovered she had cheated on me. Again, Lord? Why me? And we had worked for a year on that. Sought therapy, counseling, marriage counseling. But after a year, I was still having those feelings of, here's someone I loved and put all my hopes in, and they betrayed the trust. What can we do? I didn't want to leave her, but it had been a year and nothing really had changed. I still had those hurt feelings. It wasn't toxic at all, like the first marriage. And so we went through some ideas. And one of those ideas was, I put so much into sex. What if I took that whole equation off the table to where this cheating thing wouldn't have hit me so hard had sex been something like a handshake with a friend. So we decided to try swinging. Remember, websites like Adult Friend Finder and such. And we did that. We never felt at ease with it. Met some great people. Did have some fun, yes. But just never could connect. Did not appreciate the, hi, how are you? My name's so-and-so. Let's go fuck. Wasn't us. We needed more than that. I really needed more than that, but I didn't know what that really meant. So we tried that a number of years. She liked to drink too. We liked to go out. We tried all different types of things, and parties always had alcohol. Never had really gotten back into the drugs. She tried a couple things, but didn't care for it. And then we heard about open relationships. And let's give that a try. What's that about? Okay. A little bit different than swinging. You know, it's not just hello. It's like, if they want to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, so be it. We found a little bit more comfort into there, but it still wasn't our fit until we eventually found polyamory. And to us, that seemed more appropriate. Now, during this time, it was initially rocky because, you know, your significant other's going out with others. You're going to have the jealousy. And there's going to be heightened emotions, and we both had them, but we started communicating. And that was, I think, key. And I absolutely love the polyamorous community. But it wasn't until this year I realized that was just another layer of me that got put on that wasn't the real me. While I love the community, the people are absolutely wonderful. For the most part, let's face it, with anything, there's bad apples. So yeah, you get those, even in the swinging. Those that are cheating, doing it behind their back. Guys and girls. For the most part, that community is beautiful. I lovingly refer to them as the red-headed stepchildren of the LGBT community. Because they don't even get a letter. And that, while we were involved in that community, we did have people of all letters, LGBTQIA. Some couples, guys, some couple, girls, some couples, bi, whatever you want to call it. Never got addressed. whenever we attended anything else. I'm like, what about the poly people? What about the poly people? So I became the poly pirate because I love to do Renaissance fairs. It was me and the second wife that got involved in Renaissance festivals and loved them. So I thought, hey, I'll become the poly pirate. Get the colors, red, blue, black, and I'll start representing our little community. Start doing the pride events, marches. There's the poly pirate. Changed all my social media, the ones I could, to the poly pirate. And again, while we spent, me and her alone spent over 15 years in that alternate lifestyle community. Love and respect for them, but I didn't really understand that that's still not me. That was just another layer I was putting on. But I'll end that shortly after this. Because while that did help us, and it saved our marriage. They always said, don't get into poly if you're trying to save your marriage. It won't. It actually did. It did. We met a great community. We communicated beautifully. It was a struggle at first, but we had such great communication, more so than I've had in any of my other relationships, because we could talk about those feelings, and we went in depth. Well, someone was upset. Well, why are you upset about with whatever? Well, because I'm feeling this. Now, why are you feeling that? Well, I'm feeling this because now and it just went deep, like 7 layers deep. And we could sit there and communicate beautifully with each other. Yeah, at first, there was arguments the first few years, but as our communication improved, so did the relationship. And then we had our little girl, which we named Rebecca. And I thought my life's complete. Got 3 kids, got a wife, got a dog. This is wonderful. But the drinking did start to increase more and more and more. Going out on weekends, getting involved in craft beers and the different tastes of the whiskeys and the liquors and the wines. And we both got increases in our jobs, so titles went up and become more fancy, can afford the better stuff, and thought we're being sophisticated, but in reality we were numbing out. At least I know I was. When the little things in life would hit and the frustrations and this stuff, let's just have a drink. And there's where this perfect drug really starts to go to work. Again, did not know it at the time. Thought everything was good. Wrong! This perfect drug was, and if you watch some of these videos, you'll understand what alcohol really does. Not the hearsay. I thought I knew what alcohol does. The hearsay, everyone tells you, oh yeah, it does that. Yeah. No, when you get into the real science of the chemicals, of what they do to the central nervous system, and when it passes the blood-brain barrier, it fucking blows your mind. Blows your mind. And I didn't realize it then, but it had started its work. Plus, I guess we can call it the indoctrination of us as children, the advertisements, our family, our friends, everyone drinking, everyone, oh, this is so good type of thing. Everyone's doing it, why can't I? And so that slowly increased, little by little, to where even what turned out just to be a weekend thing with, I'm going to go home, I need a drink. Or some of our coworkers, yes, I just snorted. Some of our coworkers, hey, you want to go drink after work? Yeah, hell yeah. And what seems to be innocent at the time, I've come now to realize it's just weeding itself deeper into me. Creating these pathways in my brain to go to. I'm doing it to myself. Feeling frustrated? Grab a drink. Feeling angry? Grab a drink. Feeling celebratory? Grab a drink. Having a major life situation, lifing, right? Shit, grab a drink. Get through this. And during this time, we met wonderful couples, singles even. I met a gal and she met a guy. And we both connected in the poly outside of our own relationship. And we all connected together too, in that when we would hang out, it was just like hanging out with your best friends. And I was migrating with my feelings and emotions more with the girl and her with the guy. And we really had stopped, if you would, working on the marriage. Things were just status quo. They weren't bad. They weren't great. They were just okay. She would spend time with him and I would spend time with her. She loved her. I loved him. Great guy. But our marriage, after over 15 years, had just started to get stale. We weren't working on each other anymore. And I still remember it to this day because I played it in my head for 6 months, every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. I was sitting on the couch and she came up and said, "I think we should separate." I just looked her back in the eye and said, "Yeah, I agree." To which she had this shock in her face. But we eventually did talk about that. Now I bring that up because that became a pivotal point that I really didn't tell anyone about. I kept it to myself for over a decade. Because while her and the guy got together, me and the girl got together, that moment changed me. And I started sliding down that path faster and quicker. COVID happened and that became a good excuse for me, but that wasn't the real reason. It was once again the heartbreak. Another one, hadn't told anyone. Never did until this alcohol-free journey when I got to share in a meeting. As I'm starting to uncover myself, because one of the things to becoming alcohol-free was realizing why I was going to alcohol, why I was turning to it so much now. And during that process was really discovering me and going back to all these things that I had allowed to be put on me. Now I'll stop here at part 2 and we'll have a part 3 at some point. So I hope you all have enjoyed the story so far. Got a little bit more to go. Like I said, this journey of deciding to put down the alcohol, I thought that's all it would be. And it can be for some. But for me, I wanted to know why. I wanted to go more in depth. And in the process of uncovering me, I've discovered things about myself I didn't really even know. But I can say now, I love me. I don't hate me. And I do my best to treat myself with kindness every day. And I hope y'all can too. Talk to y'all soon.